Have you ever wondered why certain things in life feel strangely familiar? Like déjà vu that goes beyond logic. Have you ever felt drawn to specific places, careers, or even types of people without any obvious reason? According to Buddhist teachings, the answer may lie in your past life. We don't just randomly appear in this world. Instead, we carry with us the karma, lessons, and unfinished business of our previous incarnations. But what if you could get a small glimpse into your past life, just by looking at the last digit of your birth year? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, many ancient traditions, including Buddhist numerology, suggest that numbers hold energetic meanings that reveal patterns across lifetimes. Each last digit, from 0 to 9, reflects a karmic theme you carried from your past existence into this one. Whether you were a leader, healer, seeker, or warrior in a past life, your birth year's final digit might just hold the key to understanding your soul's mission. In Buddhism, karma is not punishment or reward. It's simply cause and effect. The experiences, choices, and actions of your past life have shaped the tendencies, strengths, and struggles you now face. This means that by understanding the karmic energy behind your birth year's last digit, you can gain deeper insight into your personality, challenges, and spiritual purpose. More importantly, Buddhist teachings offer wisdom on how to navigate your current life based on what you've brought forward from the past. This isn't about fortune-telling or rigid destiny. Instead, it's an opportunity to reflect on your inner world, recognize old patterns, and use Buddhist wisdom to move forward with more clarity and purpose. Are you here to complete unfinished karma? To heal old wounds? To lead, create, or learn patience? Let's explore what your last birth year digit says about your past life, and how Buddhist teachings can help you thrive in this one. Get ready for some surprising revelations. If your birth year ends in 0, such as 1980, 1990, or 2000, congratulations! You are a soul who has completed a major karmic cycle. In your past life, you weren't just anyone. You were someone who reached a conclusion, whether that meant resolving personal struggles, achieving enlightenment, or fulfilling an important mission. Think about it like a book series. Your past life was the final chapter of a major storyline. Maybe you were a wise elder, a spiritual teacher, or a dedicated worker who spent an entire lifetime closing loose ends. You might have been someone who sacrificed personal gain to ensure others were taken care of. Or perhaps you lived a quiet but meaningful life, ending with a deep sense of peace and understanding. But here's the twist. While you completed one cycle, this life is like a fresh start. Many people born under the number 0 feel like their life is a blank slate. You may often feel unsure of your purpose or feel like you're starting over in relationships, careers, or personal identity. This is because your soul ended a previous journey and is now exploring new possibilities. However, Buddhist teachings warn against attachment to the past, even past lives. The lesson for those with a 0 birth year is to embrace impermanence. Just because your past self completed a cycle doesn't mean you should rest in this life. Instead, this lifetime is about new beginnings, finding new passions, exploring new perspectives, and breaking free from old patterns. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is Shoshin, the Zen concept of the beginner's mind. It teaches that approaching life with curiosity rather than assumptions leads to the deepest wisdom. Meditation on impermanence, anicca, can help you release any lingering fears of the unknown. Your past life gave you a wealth of wisdom. This life asks you to use it not as a crutch, but as a springboard. The world is wide open for you. Explore, experiment, and embrace change, because your soul has been given the rare gift of a brand new journey. If your birth year ends in 1, such as 1981, 1991, or 2001, you were a leader in your past life. You weren't the type to sit back and follow orders. You were the one making the decisions, guiding others, and standing at the forefront of change. Whether you were a king, a warrior, a philosopher, or a revolutionary, your past self carried great responsibility. People depended on you, and your actions shaped the lives of many. But here's the challenge. Leadership comes with karma. The choices you made in your past life affected not only yourself, but those around you, leaving behind lingering energy that has followed you into this incarnation. If you misused power, you may now struggle with trust issues or fear of failure. If you led with integrity, you might feel an inner pull to step into leadership roles again, even if you're not sure why. In Buddhism, true leadership is not about dominance. It's about wisdom and self-mastery. The Buddha himself was a leader, not because he sought control, but because he dedicated himself to understanding the truth and guiding others with compassion. One of his teachings states, "A wise person first directs himself before directing others." This means your past life leadership isn't just about leading others. It's about leading yourself first. In this life, you might feel an instinct to take charge, whether in your career, relationships, or even in social settings. But Buddhist wisdom encourages you to balance action with reflection. If you're too forceful, you might face resistance from others. If you hold back too much, you might feel unfulfilled. The key is mindfulness, understanding when to step forward and when to step back. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is anapanasati, mindful breathing meditation. It teaches you to stay present, avoiding impulsive decisions while still embracing your natural leadership abilities. Another important lesson is non-attachment. True leaders don't cling to control, but instead guide with wisdom and let things unfold naturally. Your past life karma has given you strength, ambition, and the ability to inspire others. But this life isn't about proving yourself. It's about leading with wisdom, patience, and inner peace. The more you embrace mindfulness, the more your leadership will come naturally, and this time it will be truly enlightened. If your birth year ends in 2, such as 1982, 1992, or 2002, you were a peacemaker in your past life. You weren't drawn to power or conflict. Instead, you sought harmony, balance, and connection with others. Whether you were a healer, a diplomat, a monk, or a devoted caregiver, your past existence was dedicated to bringing people together and easing suffering. But peace comes with its own karma. In your past life, you likely sacrificed a lot for others, sometimes even at the cost of your own happiness. You may have given endlessly, helped others find resolution, and tried to maintain balance in a world filled with chaos. While this brought you spiritual growth, it may have also left behind unresolved lessons. That's why, in this life, you might struggle with setting boundaries or feel an overwhelming responsibility to keep everyone happy. Buddhism teaches that true peace isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about inner stillness. The Buddha himself experienced both suffering and enlightenment, and one of his most important teachings is equanimity, upekkha, the ability to remain calm and centered no matter what is happening around you. If you often feel drained by trying to fix things for others, this is your karmic lesson. You are not responsible for everyone else's happiness. In this life, you may feel a deep sense of empathy, easily absorbing the emotions of those around you. You likely find yourself drawn to roles that involve caregiving, mediation, or emotional support. But Buddhist wisdom reminds you that balance is key. If you give too much, you risk losing yourself. If you close off, you block your natural gift of connection. The middle path, the way of mindfulness, is your best guide. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is metta, loving kindness meditation. This helps you send love and peace not only to others, but also to yourself. Another important practice is letting go, vairagya, understanding that you can offer support without carrying the weight of others' problems. Your past life made you a healer, a connector, and a source of peace. But this life is about balance, learning to care for yourself as much as you care for others. When you master that, true peace will follow. If your birth year ends in 3, such as 1983, 1993, or 2003, you were a creator in your past life. You weren't just living. You were building, imagining, and expressing something new into the world. Whether you were an artist, a writer, an architect, or an inventor, your past life was centered around creation, inspiration, and originality. But here's the twist. Creativity isn't always easy. While you were blessed with vision and innovation, you likely struggled with doubt, perfectionism, or feeling misunderstood. Many creators in past lives felt isolated because their ideas were ahead of their time. Perhaps you had dreams that never fully came to life, or you faced obstacles that prevented you from fully expressing your gifts. That lingering karma has carried over into this life. This explains why you might feel an inner urge to create but sometimes struggle with confidence, procrastination, or self-doubt. In Buddhism, this is known as Mara, the force that creates illusion and fear, trying to stop you from reaching your true potential. The Buddha himself encountered Mara under the Bodhi tree, facing temptations and doubts before achieving enlightenment. His lesson? Creativity and progress require pushing past fear and illusion. In this life, you have a deep well of ideas, but your challenge is bringing them into reality. You might start many projects but struggle to finish them, or you might hold back because you fear judgment. Buddhist teachings remind you that creativity is an expression of Dharma, your unique path in this world. Your creations aren't meant to be perfect, they're meant to be shared. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is walking meditation, kinhin. Movement and mindfulness together can unlock inspiration and dissolve creative blocks. Another important lesson is non-attachment, anicca, understanding that creativity flows best when you stop overthinking and allow it to be effortless. Your past life made you a visionary. This life is about trusting your ideas, following through, and sharing your gifts without fear. When you stop worrying about being perfect and simply create, you'll fulfill the karmic purpose you were meant for. If your birth year ends in 4, such as 1984, 1994, or 2004, you were a seeker in your past life. You weren't content with surface-level answers. You craved deeper meaning, hidden truths, and spiritual wisdom. Whether you were a philosopher, a monk, a scientist, or a wandering sage, your past life was spent in search of knowledge. But the path of a seeker is not always easy. You likely spent much of your past life questioning the world around you, challenging traditions, and diving into the unknown. While this made you wise, it may have also left you feeling disconnected from others. You might have struggled with loneliness, self-doubt, or the frustration of never quite finding the ultimate answer. That karma has carried over into this life, shaping your personality in ways you may not even realize. In this lifetime, you might feel restless, constantly searching for something, whether it's purpose, truth, or a sense of belonging. You might be drawn to philosophy, spirituality, or science, but no matter how much you learn, you may feel like there's always something missing. This is your past life energy influencing you, pushing you to keep seeking. Buddhism teaches that the greatest wisdom doesn't come from external knowledge. It comes from inner stillness. The Buddha himself was once a seeker, exploring extreme asceticism and indulgence before realizing that truth lies in the middle path, not in endless searching, but in balanced awareness. Your karmic lesson is to understand that seeking is important, but so is being present. You don't have to chase answers. Sometimes they come when you simply allow yourself to be. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is zazen, seated meditation. It trains your mind to embrace the unknown without restlessly chasing answers. Another important teaching is sati, mindfulness, learning to find meaning in the present moment, rather than always looking ahead. Your past life made you a deep thinker and spiritual explorer, but this life is about finding peace in the search itself. The more you balance curiosity with mindfulness, the more you'll realize that the answers you seek have been within you all along. If your birth year ends in 5, such as 1985, 1995, or 2005, you were a rebel in your past life. You weren't someone who followed the rules blindly. You questioned them, challenged authority, and refused to be confined by tradition. Whether you were a revolutionary, a nomad, a warrior, or a visionary, you lived life on your own terms, often breaking free from the restrictions imposed by society. But rebellion comes with a cost. In your past life, you may have experienced resistance, exile, or even persecution for standing against the norm. Perhaps you fought for justice, but the world wasn't ready to change. Maybe you lived as a free spirit, but loneliness or instability followed. This karma has carried into your present life, giving you a restless soul, a constant urge for adventure, independence, and the need to break free from limitations. In this lifetime, you might struggle with feeling trapped, whether in relationships, jobs, or routines. You crave freedom, but at times you may not even know what you're running from. This is your past life energy playing out, pushing you to keep moving, searching, and defying expectations. Buddhism teaches that true freedom isn't about running away. It's about mastering the mind. The Buddha himself was a rebel in his own way. He walked away from a life of privilege, challenged religious traditions, and sought his own truth. But his greatest realization was this: freedom isn't found outside of you. It's found within. Your karmic lesson is to understand that breaking free doesn't mean destroying everything in your path. It means finding peace within yourself, no matter where you are. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is vipassana, insight meditation. It teaches you to observe your thoughts and emotions without reacting to them, helping you find clarity instead of impulsivity. Another important lesson is impermanence, anicca, understanding that change is natural, but true freedom comes from accepting it rather than constantly running from it. Your past life made you a fighter, a challenger, and a seeker of truth. But this life is about finding balance, learning when to push against the system and when to embrace stillness. When you master this, you won't just be free, you'll be unstoppable. If your birth year ends in 6, such as 1986, 1996, or 2006, you were a healer in your past life. You weren't just someone who cared. You carried the weight of others' suffering, offering comfort, wisdom, and healing energy. Whether you were a doctor, a shaman, a spiritual guide, or simply a nurturing soul, your past existence revolved around helping others find peace, health, and emotional well-being. But healing others often means neglecting yourself. In your past life, you likely gave everything you had, sometimes to the point of exhaustion. You absorbed the pain of those around you, feeling a deep sense of responsibility for their well-being. But no matter how much you gave, it was never enough. This karma has followed you into this life, making you someone who instinctively wants to help, but often at your own expense. You may feel naturally drawn to caregiving roles, whether as a friend, a mentor, or even professionally in healing fields. People might open up to you easily, sensing your compassionate nature. But here's the challenge. You might struggle to set boundaries. You could feel emotionally drained, taken for granted, or overwhelmed by the suffering of others. This is your past life energy playing out, pushing you to learn an important karmic lesson. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Buddhism teaches that true compassion starts with yourself. Even the Buddha emphasized self-care as part of the path to enlightenment. If you exhaust yourself trying to heal others while neglecting your own well-being, you create imbalance. Your karmic lesson is to understand that being a healer doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. It means knowing when to give and when to step back. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is loving-kindness meditation, metta bhavana, but with a twist. Instead of always directing love toward others, focus it on yourself first. Another essential teaching is non-attachment, upadana, understanding that you can offer support, but you are not responsible for saving everyone. Your past life made you a healer, a giver, a source of comfort. But this life is about balance, learning to care for yourself as much as you care for others. When you master this, you'll become an even greater force of healing, without losing yourself in the process. If your birth year ends in 7, such as 1987, 1997, or 2007, you were a mystic in your past life. You weren't just an ordinary person. You had a deep connection to the unseen forces of the universe. Whether you were a monk, an oracle, an astrologer, or a spiritual guide, your past life revolved around seeking higher wisdom and understanding the mysteries of existence. But walking the path of a mystic is never easy. In your past life, you likely felt detached from the material world. You saw things others couldn't, understood truths that others dismissed, and often felt like an outsider. While your spiritual insights were profound, they may have also led to loneliness or misunderstanding. Some mystics even suffered persecution for their beliefs. This karma has followed you into this life, making you someone who seeks deep meaning but sometimes feels out of place in the modern world. In this lifetime, you might feel drawn to spiritual practices, astrology, meditation, or ancient wisdom. You may experience strong intuition, vivid dreams, or déjà vu, all signs of your past life mystical energy. But here's the challenge. Your mind may sometimes feel too deep for this world, leaving you struggling to balance spiritual insight with everyday life. You might feel isolated, or you might question whether your spiritual path has a real purpose. Buddhism teaches that enlightenment isn't about escaping the world. It's about being present within it. The Buddha himself was a seeker of mystical wisdom, but his greatest realization was that truth isn't found in extremes. It's found in balance. Your karmic lesson is to embrace both the spiritual and the physical. You are meant to bridge the gap between the mystical and the everyday, bringing higher wisdom into real-world experiences. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is samatha meditation, calm abiding, which helps you balance intuition with focus. Another essential teaching is the bodhisattva path, understanding that spiritual wisdom isn't just for personal enlightenment, but to help others awaken as well. Your past life made you a mystic, a seeker of hidden truths. But this life is about integration, learning to live both in the mystical realm and the physical world. When you master this balance, you will truly unlock your higher purpose. If your birth year ends in 8, such as 1988, 1998, or 2008, you were a leader in your past life. You weren't someone who followed the crowd. You were the one giving direction, making decisions, and shaping the destiny of others. Whether you were a ruler, a warrior, a business magnate, or a spiritual teacher, you carried the weight of responsibility on your shoulders. But leadership is never without challenges. In your past life, you likely experienced the burden of power, having to make difficult choices, sometimes sacrificing personal happiness for the greater good. Perhaps you ruled with wisdom, or perhaps you were feared. Either way, you left a legacy that impacted many. But with great power comes great karma, and now, in this life, that energy still influences you. In this lifetime, you might naturally take charge in group settings, feeling a strong sense of responsibility for others. You may have big ambitions, a strong will, and an unshakable drive. However, you might also struggle with control issues, feeling that things must always go your way. This is your past life energy playing out, pushing you to understand the true nature of power. Buddhism teaches that true leadership isn't about control. It's about wisdom and service. The Buddha himself was once a prince, destined to be a ruler, but he realized that the greatest power lies not in material wealth or authority, but in mastering oneself. Your karmic lesson in this life is to lead with wisdom, not ego. Your past life power was external, but this life is about developing inner strength, the kind that doesn't need validation from the outside world. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is anapanasati, breath meditation, which teaches patience, clarity, and control over your emotions. Another key teaching is the principle of non-attachment, vairagya, understanding that true power isn't about holding on tightly, but about leading with a sense of purpose rather than personal gain. Your past life made you a ruler, a decision maker, a force of influence. But this life is about refining that power, not for dominance, but for the greater good. When you learn to balance ambition with wisdom, you won't just be successful, you'll be unstoppable. If your birth year ends in 9, such as 1989, 1999, or 2009, you are an old soul, carrying wisdom from countless lifetimes before. In your past life, you were a wanderer of the soul, someone who had already seen and experienced much, whether as a philosopher, a monk, a wise elder, or even a spiritual nomad. You weren't caught up in material desires because you had already been through all of that in previous lives. Instead, you were searching for deeper truths. But the path of an old soul can be lonely. In your past life, you may have felt disconnected from the world, watching from the sidelines as others pursued ambition, status, and worldly success. Perhaps you were content with solitude, or maybe you longed for connection but struggled to relate to others. This karma has carried into your present life, making you someone who sees the world differently. You feel things deeply, but at times you struggle to find people who truly understand you. In this lifetime, you might feel like you were born in the wrong era, as if your soul is older than your physical body. You may be drawn to history, ancient philosophies, and deep, meaningful conversations. Superficiality bores you, and you crave depth in everything, whether in relationships, knowledge, or life experiences. But here's the challenge. Your past life energy can make you feel disconnected, misunderstood, or even lost. You might struggle to find a clear direction, questioning what your true purpose is. Buddhism teaches that wisdom is not about age. It's about presence. The Buddha himself was an old soul, yet his enlightenment came not from past knowledge, but from embracing the here and now. Your karmic lesson in this life is to fully engage with the present moment, rather than dwelling on past lives or distant wisdom. A powerful Buddhist practice for you is zazen, seated meditation, which teaches you to simply be, without chasing after meaning or answers. Another essential teaching is sunyata, the void, understanding that ultimate wisdom comes from letting go of labels, identities, and expectations. Your past life made you a seer, a thinker, a soul filled with ancient wisdom. But this life is about living in the now, embracing the beauty of each moment. When you do, you'll find not only wisdom, but also deep, fulfilling peace. The last digit of your birth year is more than just a number. It's a glimpse into the energy you've carried from a past life. Whether you were a warrior, a healer, a leader, or a mystic, your past experiences have shaped the person you are today. The challenges you face, the patterns you repeat, and the instincts that guide you all stem from karmic lessons waiting to be understood. But here's the truth. You are not bound by your past life. Buddhism teaches that karma is not punishment. It is simply unfinished energy seeking resolution. If you recognize your past life tendencies, you gain the power to break free from old cycles and step into a higher version of yourself. The key to transformation is awareness. If you were a restless soul, learn to embrace stillness. If you were a leader obsessed with control, practice letting go. If you were a giver who neglected yourself, start setting boundaries. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. Your soul's journey is ongoing. The question is, how will you write the next chapter? Let us know in the comments. And if this wisdom resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing insights.